Britons have expressed mixed feelings over the new monarch King Charles III, as one young person claimed he was too old to accede to the throne. Speaking outside the king's eventual new home, Curtis told Express.co.uk he thinks the monarchy should stop and that he didn't think Charles should be king. But the majority of respondents disagreed, with one man, Bob, suggesting Charles would do a great job and follow in his mother's footsteps. Royal fan Mary, visiting the palace to pay her respects to the Queen alongside her granddaughter Ellie, said, "Charles is coming across very confident now, from what we have seen of him. I think he is that sort of man that would cope. And he is a sensitive man, and I think he will be a wonderful king, and he will want to be because of his mum." Bob, who had travelled down to London with his wife Mel, acknowledged that King Charles had big shoes to fill, but he said, "I think he will do a great job. He's had the greatest teacher ever and I think he will follow in her footsteps. And he will do a great service to this country." King Charles has received overwhelming support from the majority of Britons. Image, Getty. Curtis says King Charles III is too old for the monarchy and William should step up. Image, Express. Emmanuel, visiting with his mother, said, "King Charles III needs to follow the Queen's footsteps, and we wish him good luck because he will need a lot of endurance to achieve the level of service that the Queen left behind." But Curtis, visiting from France, offered an alternative opinion, suggesting that King Charles was not fit for office. He said, "I'm not a big fan of Charles. I think the monarchy should stop after this. I don't think he should be king. He is a bit too old for us. I like William more because he is young, he has a new point of view for our society." Read more. Princess Anne emotional as she stands vigil by mother's side. Reveal, Mary says Charles will be wonderful king because of his mother. Image, Express. Emmanuel says Charles will follow in the Queen's footsteps but will need endurance. Image, Express. Opinions about the king have been overwhelmingly supportive since his accession to the throne immediately following the death of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Royal fans across the United Kingdom have spent hours queuing outside royal residences to meet the new monarch and wish him well. But recent outbursts from the king, first during the proclamation of his reign 3 days after the Queen's death, and secondly in Belfast on Tuesday, have outraged some of the less royally inclined Britons. Jenny Bond, a royal commentator and acquaintance of the King Charles III, acknowledged on Thursday that the new monarch did have a hot temper but urged Britons to not exaggerate his little outbursts because he was at heart a very kind man. "Don't miss, policing the Queen's funeral will be bigger than the London Olympics." Insight, King Charles greets delighted royal fans outside Cardiff Castle. Report, Kate Garraway recalls embarrassing story of meeting King Charles III. Reveal King Charles III leads a vigil at Westminster Hall alongside his 3 siblings. Image, Getty. Trending it comes as Charles, Anne, Andrew and Edward had solemn looks on their faces as they stood vigil around their mother's coffin in Westminster Hall on Friday evening. The new sovereign, Anne, Andrew and Edward looked somber as they surrounded the Queen's coffin just after 7:45 p.m, 4 days after they participated in a vigil in St Giles Cathedral in Edinburgh. Their heads were bowed throughout as members of the public filed slowly past them. After leaving Westminster Hall following the end of the vigil, they were given a round of applause by the public in the queue. The royals will now prepare the Queen's state funeral at Westminster Abbey on Monday, expected to be one of, if not the most, viewed event of the 21st century. Read next. Former Buckingham Palace employee recalls almost being fired. Charles urged to uphold Philip's wish and grant Wessex's new titles. Charles to host lavish state reception at Buckingham Palace. Fascinating story of handmade shoes Her Majesty kept from childhood and tipped for elevated royal title under Charles.